Welcome back to another enlightening episode of Business, Bourbon, and Cigars. This is where we explore cutting-edge trends and innovations that are shaping the business landscape. I'm your host, Scott Joseph, and today I'm thrilled to introduce our exceptional guest, Denzil Eden. She's the mastermind behind Smarty, which is an AI productivity assistant that is revolutionizing the way we work. I want you to join us as we discover how artificial intelligence is transforming the way we approach productivity and efficiency in business. Denzil, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
This is absolutely great. So right out of the gate, talk to us. What's your background? How did you get inspired to create Smarty? And I probably should ask first, tell us a little about what Smarty is, then we can get into how you got into that.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll dive right in. So Smarty is an AI-powered executive assistant. Our goal is to create conversational commands so you can automate all of that administrative work you have to do, especially if you don't have an executive assistant. Smarty has conversational commands like, I'm going to have coffee with Stella at Blue Bottle at 2 p.m. San Francisco time. And Smarty will handle the calendar invite, the contact, the location, the time zone. And that's just a conversational command for creating events. But we have commands for scheduling links, for task management and auto scheduling tasks onto your calendar, for email management, pretty much everything that you would do with an EA. We're trying to make it possible that you can do through Smarty. And I started working on Smarty because I needed this in my own life. So started building it for myself. And then I'm now trying to sell it and make it into a real business.
I need to look at this as well, because my email, I get like literally 400 to 600 emails depending on the day, every day. And I tell people, I said, if you do not text me, if this is an important email, if you do not text me and tell me that you just sent me an important email, there's a good chance I won't see it. I can't keep up.
I'm the same way. And then I'm also managing multiple email accounts. And I really want to be at inbox zero all the time across all of my accounts. And Smarty helps me do that. It's really about creating that efficiency and having this one universal inbox.
So I don't want this to be a commercial for Smarty. However, it's impossible to talk about your journey without, I want to make sure, because not everybody's going to be familiar with it, right? So I want to ask you a couple questions as it relates to it. Like, all right, so let's say I come on board. How long is it going to take me to set this up to where it gets rolling?
Hopefully less than 5 to 10 minutes. You sign in with your Google Calendar, and if you want, you can add email as well. And so then you have one account set up. And then if you want to manage multiple accounts, you can integrate multiple accounts. So I, for example, have my personal account, my professional account. I actually have a second professional account. So I manage it all in one place with Smarty. And then the conversational commands, you can start using them right away. So highly recommend trying it out. But I agree, I don't want this to be a commercial, so I can dive into how I got started with Smarty as well.
How one last question on this. And I'm almost like, hey, I know when you go online, typically you're ordering online for these type of programs and things like that. And I'm thinking to myself, well, heck, I got the CEO and founder. I can ask all kinds of questions. So before I get on there, this is the best FAQ I could have. But does it also work with like Outlook and does it sync with those calendars and all that too?
So right now we're just on top of G Suite, so you can just manage multiple Google accounts. But we're hoping to add Outlook before the end of the summer. So fingers crossed.
Okay. All right, and we're going to get into how you. I at some point in this interview, I want to get into how you plan for all that and I guess develop that type of stuff. But all right, so let's go back to my initial question, which is, how in the heck did you get in this direction? What inspired you to do this?
Well, I can go way back and start with the fact that I grew up in the Bay Area. I started coding really young. I was very lucky to have exposure to this coding language called Logo, which is just programming for kids, because there's like a little turtle and you talk to the turtle and you tell the turtle what to do. And I kind of just fell in love with how logical coding was really early in life. Took that passion with me to MIT, where I studied computer science, and I did a bachelor's and master's with a theoretical focus in AI. Really kind of wish I'd started my own startup right out of my thesis, but ended up instead deciding to go to Microsoft, worked on my product management skills at PowerPoint, and then switched to being a software engineer at Yammer. So always in this future of work, productivity, enterprise space. But like wasn't sure if I wanted to work at tech. So tried out a bunch of different jobs, ended up going to business school. And while I was at business school, I was really asking myself, like, if I could only work on one thing for the rest of my life, what would it be? And I was a big believer, and this is way back in like 2016, 2018, way before this AI hype. I was like, I want to work on AI. I want to be at that cutting edge, like figuring out how it's going to work, how it's going to integrate with how we live and work. And so I really started thinking about what would I want and what can I build with AI? And that's how I started building Smarty. I really started building it for myself. It started as a chat bot where I would like chat at things that I needed to do, and they would try to help me figure out how to do it or when to do it. And it kind of just transformed from there.
Wow. I sit here and I have this debate a lot with people, and you just touched on it a little bit. So I want to just ask you. You said that you wish you kind of went right into your own thing right after school, but you went into Microsoft. Do you feel like it's smarter or better for someone to start off working as a, let's say, intrapreneur versus an entrepreneur? What's your thought process on that? What do you think is the best route?
It's a great question. And honestly, I feel like there's always this like grass is greener. You always want what you can't have. I think if you are starting something from scratch within a larger company, that is probably the best way to do it because you get the best of both worlds. You are doing the founder experience, but you have all the resources of a big company. So you can make mistakes and it's not going to have the same consequences as if you're doing it on your own. I will say when I was at Microsoft, though, I wasn't like building something new. I was really improving something that already existed. So I don't think it gave me the 0 to 1 skills that I really only learned once I started my own thing, but it did give me a lot of other really useful skills. And so it's really easy for me to say now, oh, I wish I'd done something else, but then I wouldn't have the same skill set that I do today.
So yeah, I started my first company at 22, but I actually worked in a decent sized organization. I was in the auto business, but learned everything I did successfully in the first 2 years came from that job I had and what I had learned there. And so you bring up another thing that I find interesting is, if I'm a new employee, and now that how many employees do you have roughly?
I have 4.
All right. So you're going to understand. So you're going to understand this, right? Gosh, by the way, I envy that. So every employer would love nothing more. Let's put you back in Microsoft for a second. All right. And all right. So you obviously have your day-to-day job. They've tasked you with something to do and you've got to do it. But you said you had this urge, right, to create something from start. They would have loved every bit of you creating something on your own time, bringing it to them. And then obviously that probably, if I had an employee that said, hey, this is something I've been working with on my own, I want to show you, I think it could help the company. And I thought, man, that's a heck of an idea. Yeah. We're going to switch you off and then boom, go into this, right? Because we all want the team we work with to own it, so to speak. Definitely. And so I think you brought up a couple things there that I don't know, just popped into my head as you were talking.
No, I totally agree. And actually, it's funny because I worked at 2 different teams at Microsoft and they both had very different cultures. But the second one was an acquired startup, Yammer, and they actually had this whole culture around hackathons, and it would happen every month. And it was such a great opportunity where if you did have an idea for the product, you could build a prototype in the hackathon and pitch it to the higher ups. And if there was potential, they would let you run with it. So there's definitely something to be said about having a culture of innovation at your like larger company and team.
Yeah. So I think everybody's talking AI. If you're in business, especially if you're in business or any type of creative field or anything like that, I don't know how you get through your day. I personally could not get through my day without AI. But let me just ask you this. How do you envision AI redefining productivity when it comes to business?
Yeah, so I think AI in general is a tool that is transforming every industry that's out there, from farming to software. It is going
Yeah.
to affect every industry that's out there. And I think it's really important for folks to work on their AI literacy, learning how to work with AI tools. You don't have to understand how AI works, but you need to understand how to use the tools that are coming out every single day and how AI thinks and processes information. So I think that's really important for everyone who's listening and who's out there, because AI is going to be transformative. In terms of when it comes to productivity, it's really about AI understanding time management, and helping you optimize your time. And then also separately, automating all of the inefficient work that you do, the work that computers are just naturally better at than humans are. And so that's like auto scheduling your day. Humans are very like easily get caught up in like the details and have to waste a lot of time in figuring out like, okay, what is the best time for me to do this? What is the best way for me to do this? But with AI, with any sort of automation or technology, it's instantaneous. It can automatically process all of the different constraints, the different parameters, and know exactly what's the ideal time, the right time to do something.
Wait a
Separately,
minute. All right. So I've always, and this is horrible because I am actually involved in AI, but I'm not doing it from a productivity standpoint like what you're talking about with Smarty. And so I want to see if I get this right. So, all right, it's syncing with my calendar, so to speak, or let's just say it is. Are you telling me I could sit there and say, I've got 2 to 3 projects that are very important. These are the high priorities. And then I've got some, because this is what I do like the night before. I'll sit there and I say, these are my 3 top projects. And I try to time out how much it would talk. I have my tasks, and I don't prioritize those over the projects, and some things I want to accomplish both personally and professionally, and then my appointments. Are you saying I can sit there and ask this and it'll plan my day for me, so I'm not just sitting there, so I don't have to waste any more time? It just says, this is your window of opportunity for project 1. It does all that.
Exactly. Yeah. So our tagline at Smarty right now is plan your best day every day. So you can like brain dump all of your tasks into Smarty, press a single button that's like auto schedule, and it'll like auto schedule it into your day. And you can even set up calendars. Like you can say like, this is only something I like to do in the evenings. This is only something I like to do during the working hours. This is something I only want to do on weekends. And Smarty will take that into account as well.
What a great world. This is just a great time to be. It really is.
And
All
like
right.
technology is just better at that than humans are. Like technology will do that in an instant, and it's not stressful. It's not like a problem. Whereas like if I'm doing that manually every day and I have to reschedule something because inevitably something is going to happen, something will come up, that's just a pain.
Well, I think like a lot of business owners, I feel like they're visionary people. I don't want to paint everybody into this corner, but
A
what's
visionary.
that?
I think you have to be visionary as a business owner.
Well, and visionary people, I like if they're like, I can't stand like some of these things are mundane to me, right? And that's what attracts me. I like, oh wow, it just boom, plans it done. That's another thing. That's another 5 to 10 minutes it saved me right there. Just in the plan, just scoping out and planning my day. Minimum 5 to 10 minutes. It's awesome. All right. So tell me, what does last question that I'm going to ask as it relates specific to Smarty. But so tell me what makes it different. And I have a reason for asking this question other than what you're probably assuming. What makes it different? What makes it better?
Yeah, so productivity is a huge space right now. There are new future of work tools coming out every day. And I think what really lets Smarty stand out is threefold. So the first is that we're really putting an emphasis on conversational commands, really allowing you to be able to just say something like, I need to get this done before Friday at 3 p.m. and it's high priority. And like just having that conversational command experience is, I think, a big emphasis at Smarty, just making that UX as easy, user experience as easy as possible. The second thing is it's really about being an all-in-one platform. So we're doing everything administrative in Smarty. So your task management, your contact management, email management. We really want Smarty to be this all-in-one universal inbox. And the last thing is this emphasis on like auto scheduling, being able to plan your best day every day. And I think that trifecta of reasons really allows Smarty to stand out from some of the other productivity tools in the market today.
All right. So the real reason I asked that question is because I'm always blown away And you're the first person I asked that on air. I really put you on the spot on that. And so the reason I asked you, and that wasn't my intention to put you on the spot, but the question came to me because behind the scenes, if I'm just talking to business owners and I ask them what makes them different, what makes them rise above all the noise or stand out amongst the crowd, a lot of them struggle to tell me what makes them unique, what makes them better.
It's a hard thing to do and say and articulate. It's like the combination.
Well, I want the business owners in our audience to understand the importance of that. I mean, I asked you that question and bam, you fired off. And what I love about it is you framed it into three things, right? We do the same for our agency. We have three things that make us unique. It's our data analytics. It's the way we use data. It's our marketing strategy, and it's our client support. And then obviously you break those down into how, but how you communicate and can you articulate it clearly is so important. So I love that you were able to do that. All right. So now let's get into you. So what challenges have you encountered on this entrepreneurial journey? All right. That you've had to overcome. How'd you do it?
Well, I think, as a first-time founder, I've had a lot of challenges and like mistakes that I've made that I would probably never do again. And so really like going back to how we got started, I took a long time to be able to fundraise. And that's just because I didn't know how to pitch investors. I didn't know what they were looking for. I didn't know what to do to get started. And so actually the first time I pitched an investor was in 2018, but I didn't actually end up raising capital until 2020. And I really just had to stay persistent. I stayed in touch with this one investor who said no the first time. And I try, I think one thing that's really important as someone who's starting anything is that you have to have a tough skin. Rejection is just part of the experience and you can't take it personally. You really have to take the constructive feedback and keep iterating, keep moving, keep putting one step in front of the other. And so I think that was like a big life lesson, but it took me a little while to really internalize that. I think also not building for myself and building for the end customer, that was another big lesson that I needed to learn. Because as I said, I started building Smarty for myself, but that's not the same thing as building it for a market. And so it took me some time to learn what the difference was and how to speed up my learnings from my ideal customer.
Great point. And that goes with marketing too. A lot of times when we market our products, we tend to we brag about ourselves, we brag about how long we've been in business, things that are irrelevant to a client. How long someone's been in business might be okay from a social proof standpoint, but it's not going to be what either logically or emotionally pushes them over the edge to want to buy your product, right? It needs to be about, what does this do for me? How does it save me time, effort, money, something like that? It's about conveniences. It's about, and we need to speak specific to those benefits to our target audience. And in your case, build a product specific to the needs and wants of your target audience, right? So let's talk a little bit about some of the because I feel like AI is so hot right now. You got Elon Musk out there talking about how we got to be careful with it. So let's start there. Let's knock that out right out of the gate. What are some of the common misconceptions that people have about AI?
It's a great question. And so I think one of the biggest concerns that people have is that AI is going to take up all of the jobs. And I do think there is a short-term cost with AI tools that are coming out there. But I think in the long run, in the next 5 or 10 years, AI is going to be producing more jobs, just like the Industrial Revolution. There's a short-term cost where certain farming jobs, certain manual labor work is going to be removed. But in the long term, there's going to be larger factories. There's going to be more opportunities, more potential for everyone, which is why I think it's really important for folks to work on AI literacy. And we can touch on that a little bit more. I think the second one is around, this is less of a misconception, but just a general fear around AI, is data attribution. So the way AI works is that it takes in previous data in order to make recommendations and automate future outcomes. And I think right now, the way that we are currently training AI, we are either providing it not enough data, which means that there's biased outcomes or biased recommendations that come out of it, or we're not attributing the data. So Midjourney, for example, is a type of AI tool for creating art. It's using data of other artists, but it's not necessarily respecting copyright. It's not necessarily crediting like smaller artists that have provided some of the data around how it's building its artwork. And so I think there's a huge concern around how are we regulating what data AI is being trained on. I think the government and other third-party companies or personas will have to like create a standardized structure around this. And so that's something that is a big fear and makes a lot of sense to be worried about that. And then the last one is around security. I think there's a lot of personal data that is being used to train AI, and we have to be thinking about how is that being secure? How is that being encrypted? How are we taking care of that? And so I think that is something that everyone is really on top of. Everyone's aware that that is a concern, and they're staying on top of it.
You know, you brought up something that I can't believe I didn't bring up right away. And so I'm going to go backwards just a second here. You said you had to raise money. How much money did you raise? And I'm asking this question because I think there's a lot of people out there that might have a good business idea, and maybe they think, I don't have the funds to do this. But to build what you've built, obviously, you got to pay programmers. You got to, and they got to be good programmers. So, or whatever you got, whatever the technical term is, I'll let you correct me on that. How much you raise, and how short of a time did you do? How did you do that?
So I raised 2.5 million over 3 years. And so it was in two parts. And really, as I was saying before, it was very much a long journey, and it's very much about staying resilient and just to keep pitching, to not take no's personally. And then it was to hire a team, and I call them programmers too, but also engineers. And hiring is probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. It is so difficult to know what you need and who you're going to be able to work well with. And also, the demands at an early stage company are much different than like the demands at a larger company. You need someone who's willing to put on every hat that's out there, who's willing to get their hands dirty in things that they've never done before. And that's a very different mindset than someone who's being hired for a very specific role with a very specific job description. So it took me a long time to understand how to hire my team, but I'm very happy with who we are today.
When you were raising that money, what was the aha moment? Like, what all of a sudden you noticed, this is what they're attracted to. This is what's getting the money in.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm not sure if I know, or every time I did it, if there was like that aha moment. But when you find the right partner, it is really obvious because it feels like a marriage, or it feels like dating, and you finally like both click. And I didn't know that's what I was looking for the first time I raised, but the second time I knew like, okay, this is the type of partner I want. So it's easier to know what you need and want the more you do it. But I will say I haven't figured out what is that aha moment. But if I was to go out to raise again, I think the earlier stage that you're raising, the more subjective it is. The later stage, it's more objective. It's based off metrics, right? So I know exactly like we have these metrics, it'll be easy to raise.
Yeah. That's a great point. So the difference between an angel investor and next round or two, right? All right. So you touched on, building this product for your clients, and you had to get away and recognize the mistake you made early on where you were building it for yourself. So how do you approach the development and the deployment of the AI to make sure that it aligns with what the users want, need, and their expectations?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that's really like what every aspiring entrepreneur needs to focus on is like, how do you get a rapid feedback cycle with your target user? And how do you figure out what that target user is? And so I'm going to take a step back for answering this question and say, like, if I was going to start a startup today, I would do it so differently than what I did my first time around. I would probably, if I have an idea, start validating just the idea by creating a website with like the value proposition, the marketing for like how I'm going to market this idea, and then try to figure out who that target customer is. So maybe have like a wait list on this landing page, run a few ads to like drive people to the website and see who signs up for the wait list. Then I would try to interview these customers or potential customers and try to find patterns among them, like figure out, okay, who is that target customer? What are their major pain points and what are they willing to pay for in order to solve that pain point? Because it's really important that whatever problem you're solving, it's monetizable and you can make money off of it. And then I would go back to those same users, the ones that are my ideal customer, that are willing to pay for my solution, and then show them a sample solution. Like, don't code it, don't build it, just like show them like a paper prototype or a Figma prototype, and get their feedback and really create confidence around what you're building, who you're building it for, and how much you're going to charge for it. And that's what I would do today if I was going to go start a startup.
That's good advice. I look back, I just started a new company. I've been in business now for 30 something years. I just started Me Plus Ultra, which was the mastermind group that sponsors this show. And I'm hearing you say these things and I'm like, yeah, that would have been a good idea. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, but it's been so long since I started one from scratch. You got to refire all that.
Yeah. And it's funny because it's like, this is my first time starting a startup and it's like Smarty is my baby. And if I could do it over again, I'd be like, oh, there is not necessarily a right way to do it, but a way to like really mitigate risk.
Yeah. Good advice. So share some tips that people can actually use if they want to integrate AI into their business operations and really maximize the benefits.
Yeah. So I actually tell people all the time to develop their AI literacy. And I think one of the funnest ways to do it is by taking a hobby of yours. So like if you enjoy like writing music, then look out for like an AI music composition tool. If you like art, sketching, painting, check out an AI art tool like Midjourney. If you like writing, check out an AI writing tool like ChatGPT. Like whatever your passion is, I would try to find the AI equivalent tool and then practice prompting it, practice using it to help you be better. Because I think that is the future. It's not AI versus humans. It's AI with humans versus humans without AI. And so I think it's really important for people to understand how these tools work, how to use them, and how they would use them to be better at something that they're already passionate about. In terms of businesses, I think it's a harder question because at the end of the day, what really matters is what is going to change your revenue numbers or change your profit numbers. And the great thing about AI tools is it's increasing efficiency of your team, of your workers. And so really what you should be doing is like as a business organization, looking at where are there opportunities for us to have some efficiencies? Where's there room for automation? Where are we wasting most of our human labor costs? And then try to reverse engineer solutions from there. There are great frameworks online around this, but it has to start with a business need.
You bring up Midjourney. I've only used it like once or twice. And so I'm working on a real estate project here in Louisville. And it's going to be 8 bedrooms that we'll put on VRBO, but it'll be a private bourbon cigar club, indoor, outdoor event space.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's going to be incredible. So one of the, I bought the corner lot and then I've got the lot next to it, which has got a house that has to come down. So I'm sitting there thinking, what would I want this new one to look like? Just a 3-bedroom rental type thing. And so what I did is I used ChatGPT to write my code and my prompt for Midjourney. And man, it produced incredible options. I was like, wow, this is great. It might have champagne, the Midjourney's got champagne taste. I don't know if my pocketbook is going to go what it produced, but it was incredible. It was like that.
And it's because like Midjourney is trained on like almost all of the data around like different layouts for houses and different things. Yeah. But actually, if you wanted to like invest a little bit of time and you had all the blueprints of like your ideal home designs, you could start building your own AI models to like help brainstorm like different ideas and get even like more niche with the designs.
Yeah. You brought up earlier kind of like initial job loss and stuff like that. And where's AI in the workplace eventually settle, right? For me, I just feel like it makes employees better. I try to tell everybody that's on our team, you need to understand AI not because it's going to replace you. It's going to make you more efficient, more productive. Sometimes it can initiate some creativity. I mean, if you're stumped on something, like sometimes I've got to do a project and, you get like, we'll call it like writer's block, right? It's something like, it's just like, gosh, where do I, and I'll punch in some questions into some AI, and all of a sudden I'm getting some, and I'm like, now I got an idea, and it gives me ideas, and then I can go. And so I think every employee should be really good at using the tool.
Definitely. And I agree. That's exactly what AI is amazing at. It's to help you iterate faster, to get inspiration faster, to experiment faster. It's like how artists use like Michelangelo or Picasso for inspiration to create their own works. Now they can do that even faster with AI because you can like just prompt very specific things. And it's true in any industry that you're in. I really do think like AI is not going to be replacing humans. It's going to be humans with AI that replace humans without AI.
Yes, that's the best way to say it. So talk a little bit, because everybody talks about work-life balance. Do you see AI helping with that? And if so, how?
Definitely. I think AI is all about automation. It's about making you the most efficient version of yourself and the most efficient version of your time. And so every tool that's out there is trying to take away all the mundane work and helping you really focus on things that are just more strategic, really things that only you can do. So I think that's just going to increase your quality of life, but also improve how you manage your time. And so with a tool like Smarty, for example, it's really about like, okay, this is the best time to do this task. With ChatGPT, it's about, okay, forget having writer's block. Here are ways to get through that faster. And same with like artist block. There's just, every time you're looking at an AI tool, it's an opportunity to speed up the mundane part of the creative process and really automate and make you very efficient.
So you're a founder and a CEO. I have a little bit of experience in that and understanding all that comes with that. And, it can be very long days, long nights. And sometimes not because you feel like you have to, but sometimes you just love it so much and you're so involved, you want to knock out projects and you don't pay attention to the time. Right. And so how do you balance your role as CEO with the fun things you like to do in life? Talk to me outside of work. Not that your work's not fun. So outside of work, what are some of the things you like to do and how do you balance them?
Yeah, it's a great question. I will say that like entrepreneurial life is very like high highs and low lows. Sometimes you're up late because you're loving what you're doing so much. And sometimes you're up late because you're very stressed and you have no idea what's happening. And so it's such a range of emotions every day. And really when I first got started, I didn't know how to balance work and like having boundaries with like the rest of my life, like really like taking care of myself physically, taking care of myself mentally. And it took me some time to understand what is that balance and what are my boundaries. So some of that is just experimentation and some of that is like creating those boundaries and making sure you make time for self-care, for family, for friends. So it just took me some time to figure out that balance. But things that I have been doing recently is I enjoy playing the piano. I enjoy writing. And then I've been taking up tennis recently. It's a new thing. So we'll see how that's going.
Yeah. It's not the, what is it? Pickleball?
No, not pickleball. It's traditional tennis. But I am in New York City, so all of the tennis courts are also pickleball courts.
Yeah, our country club here. I feel like half the tennis courts have been converted.
Yeah,
and I got to. I mean, it's crowded. I mean, people are loving it. So I've never played it.
I've never played it either. I see everyone playing it.
I golf, and that takes enough time. So I can't do everything. But all right, so let's talk a little bit about some of the ethical concerns that surround AI. So how do you see this evolving where privacy, data privacy and security kind of actually happen?
Yeah, it's a great question. And we touched on it a little bit earlier. My biggest concerns ethically with AI are actually less on the privacy and security side, because I think every company knows that that's really important. The data needs to be secure, that if you're taking user data, it should be anonymized whenever possible. I think every company is aware around how important that is, and also is aware about what are the best practices around ensuring privacy, ensuring security. And so I feel like that is, of course, an important concern, but also one that has been addressed in the past. And so people know what are best practices when it comes to privacy and security. I think my bigger concern with AI and the ethical concerns here is really around what we were talking about earlier around data attribution. So like knowing where the data came from, knowing if the data is comprehensive, if it like represents the population that it's meant to represent. So that means not only just diversity of like gender, race, but also socioeconomic class, countries, whatever data you're using, it has to be representative of the population. And so I think that is something that's a lot harder to do. It's a lot harder to know if this AI model was trained on data correctly, and if it was trained on enough data that it's representative of everyone it's supposed to represent. So I think that's something that's hard to do. And it's also really important that we do. And then the second big concern is like, where are you getting the data? Did you get the data in a legal way? Is it correctly attributing who is the sources? Are the people who deserve credit getting credit? And I think that's the second big concern. And again, it's really hard to solve for that. And so I think there are going to be a lot of companies popping up in the next 5-10 years, directly addressing one or both of those concerns.
So talk to me a little bit. I want you to give me the best success story that you can think of where either yourself, someone you know, another company has used AI and it just really, whether it just transformed their productivity, efficiency, whatever it is. Give me the best one you can think of.
Honestly, I do think that's ChatGPT. I think they came out right off the bat and have increased opportunities, have increased like efficiencies for every content creator that's out there, for every marketer that's out there. It's really also opened up new ideas around like how generative AI can be used. And it's just transformed how everyone in the industry is thinking about AI. So I honestly cannot think of a better success case study than ChatGPT. They've really like pioneered the way, and now more and more companies are trying to figure out what are other ways that we can use generative AI. So generative AI is whenever AI creates something new from past data, and so now it started with like writing, but now we're starting to see like new voice generative AI. We're starting to see like video prompts where you prompt Sora and it creates an entire video clip. So like it's really ChatGPT kind of paved the way for all of these new things that are coming out.
So talk to us a little bit. You've got a small team, but you're obviously in an innovative vertical. I mean, I don't know if it could be, if anything could be more innovative, maybe some type of medical science or something like that. But how do you foster this culture of innovation and collaboration within your team to where you're always trying to drive forward and always trying to improve things?
I think it's twofold. So the first one that's always important for any company is listening to your users. So constantly like creating this open channel of talking to your users and understanding what are their needs, what are their problems. And the way that we really nailed that recently at Smarty is by creating a customer advisory board. So we've been trying to get different types of customers that represent different parts of our target audience, and really just catering to like these very specific individuals, like trying to understand their needs and creating this like open dialogue and channel between the company and those users. And so that I think is like the number one thing any company can do to stay relevant and to stay innovative. I think the second thing is to continue like brushing up on everything that is happening in the industry. So staying on top of AI newsletters, AI podcasts, AI tools and companies that are coming out. I think everyone on the team is very eager to always be learning and always be learning from others. And so I think that's the second thing that we really do to stay innovative.
All right. So tell me what's on the horizon? What's coming up that's just everyone's going to be like, that's awesome.
I think that thing that I'm most excited about right now is multimodal AI. So that's like where you can prompt AI with voice, with videos, with images, with text. So right now, like ChatGPT, for example, is not multimodal, it's one modal. You prompt by writing and it like gives you back text. But I think pretty soon we'll have generative AI tools where you can give it a video as a prompt. You can speak to it as a prompt. You can play music and that'll be a prompt that can generate something new. And like, for example, giving like a music clip and then getting text returned back to you. That would be like a multimodal generative AI experience. And I think that is just around the corner.
Yeah. Right now you got to manipulate that, right? Like, so I might record something. So let's say I want to train ChatGPT and so it speaks in my tonalities and my voice, right? So I might just sit there and I might take some of these podcasts, right? And have them transcribed using AI, and then upload that into ChatGPT so it gets an idea of how I talk, how I communicate. Is that
exactly? That's exactly what I mean, because you're doing this like in between step of getting all the transcriptions and feeding the transcriptions to ChatGPT. I think like exactly that. It's going to like cut out those intermediary steps that you're taking, and there'll just be a single platform.
Oh, that'll be nice. All right. How soon before we have that, you think?
A year. I don't think it's that far off. Yeah.
Nice. Good. I love it. I mean, it's changing every day. It's hard to, how do you keep up with it all?
It's hard. It's a rapid pace of change right now.
Yeah. So I mean, you're in the business. It's critical for you two, right? I mean, you've got to know what's coming. So are there little tricks? Are there some shortcuts to keeping up with it?
I don't know if there are shortcuts. I really think it just comes back to that number one thing, which is like listening to your users. Because if you're listening to your users, it doesn't matter if you're a little bit behind because you can catch up as long as your users are happy and they know that they're going to stay loyal because they know you're going to catch up eventually.
All right, let's talk legacy. What legacy do you hope to leave through your work?
I really want to help people plan their best day every day. I think that's something that all of us aspire to. And I hope that I can build a tool that helps people do that, or I can go work for a company where they're aiming to do that.
So I got news for you. I don't know how much business, obviously our guests come on here and they're experts in their area and their business verticals. And I would hope they get business out of being on here just from the exposure. I mean, but I can tell you're going to get one. That's going to probably be me.
That's amazing. And if anyone who's listening, including you, want like a personalized onboarding, I'm always willing to do that. Connect with me on LinkedIn. And if you want to join our customer advisory board, I am always looking for new folks.
I wouldn't mind that. How often do you get together with that, or have you started that yet?
So it's like a rolling experience. And so you can join, and a lot of it's done asynchronously. So you don't have to like commit too much time, but it's all about like getting feedback and creating that channel between us.
You know, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I have during our mastermind sessions that we do, so we do 3 virtual meetings a month. So Me Plus Ultra always meets on the first, second, and third Wednesday of every month. And we do 2 hot seats in the first couple Wednesdays. But the third one, I bring in an expert speaker. So we're all business owners or C-suite executives, industry innovators. I want you to speak on I got to look in, we're probably a few months out on one of these third one. I'd love to have you speak to the group about how they could be more efficient and productive. Because all these people are trying to manage. Some of these people have 4 and 5 companies, and they're trying to. And so I think there's an opportunity there that we could help the membership. So I'm gonna have you. Behind the scenes. I'm gonna reach out to you. And I'm gonna put you on the spot right here on this show. Do I have a commitment?
Yeah, you have a commitment. I would love to talk about how to be both more productive, like personally and professionally, but also how to use AI to make someone's business more productive. Yeah,
it's a topic that I know our members all get behind. And then we actually have a member that is heavy in AI. He doesn't build his own tools or anything like that, but he goes out and consults with people and teaching how. You guys should align. I need to do an intro for you. Yeah. So he would be an outstanding person actually to even be on your advisory board, probably, because he's out there
He's
teaching
familiar with
everybody.
all of the AI. Yeah. No, I get it. Perfect.
Exactly. So a big heartfelt thank you to Denzil for sharing her profound insights and expertise on how AI is shaping the future of enterprise productivity. To experience the transformative power of AI and revolutionize your approach to productivity, as we've already mentioned, I want you to make sure to check out smarty.ai. It's the easiest way to get in touch and see what Denzil's doing. And for our listeners, if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review Business Bourbon and Cigars on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback fuels our journey to bring more engaging conversations with top industry leaders. Until next time, cheers to your continued success.